Alright, so this one's going to be fairly ambitious for an off-the-cuff stream, and I also have to kind of follow a tight time schedule here and give each game just about 30 minutes to get through all 6 of them in 3 hours. That's the plan. Starting off with Hang On. Hang On is like one of the earliest deluxe cabinets I remember seeing. You actually sit down on a motorcycle, and that's what this is about today. I'm going to show you how Sega games weren't just like video games in the arcade. They were like little rides almost. I mean, it was like a whole thing, you know? It was an experience, not just a game. And they wanted this whole like theme park-like attraction to their games. To really, Sega, more than any other arcade developer, was concerned about making sure that what they gave you in the arcade was something that you couldn't do at home. And then oddly, they tried to do all this stuff at home, and it didn't. For the most part, it did not turn out well, to be honest. And it was a real thorn in Sega's early history that they focused so much on trying to bring these impossibly cool 3D arcade games home, and it just wasn't going to happen. So today I'm going to be showing off. Hang on just a second here. Let's do something we never do. I've actually just retooled this as well. Today we're going to be showing off Sega arcade pop-up history, and I don't have the camera mirrored here, so I'm a lot trying to get things on the screen. But I want to show off the Hang On arcade cabinet, as it was known and made famous. Hang on, which you actually rode on this motorcycle thing, right? Sorry about the glare. That's going to be a thing too. But yeah, see how it's a motorcycle. Pop-up books are awesome, by the way. And big thanks to my friend Kelly for getting this for me. If you've seen any of the old Call of Duty Warzone streams, it's Suwangi or 100 Years. If you've seen him in other multiplayer streams with me, he's a great guy, and this is an awesome gift. Thanks, Kelly. Here's a list of all the games that are going to be featured. Hang On, Space Harrier, Outrun, Afterburner, Thunderblade, and Power Drift. All great games. Let's play some Hang On real quick here before we switch it up. Look at the next pop-up cabinet. And think about what it'd be like to actually be riding on the Hang On motorcycle when you're playing in the arcade. It's a pretty cool experience. So let's go back to that. And yeah, let's enjoy. I swear I can finish that second section. Um, oh man, this is the worst input system ever. Also, so the Sega Master System recently got a homebrew mod of this game that I think they call it Hang On Arcade. It brings the color palette much closer in line with the arcade version here. This is so awful. Yeah, sure, whatever, man. I'm not even gonna try to put my initials in anymore. This is so frustrating. But I have never streamed Hang On before. I've streamed Super Hang On, which is this game but with turbo. And I think that the turbo adds a little bit to it. It's nice. It's just like having a higher gear that you shift into, and the game still controls really well. Unlike Turbo Outrun. Turbo Outrun is Outrun but with a nitro feature, and it's awful. It makes the game unplayable almost. It's my most popular stream for God only knows what reason. When I streamed Super Hang On, I think literally no one watched it, but I actually had fun playing it, and that's the important part to me. Um, but I like the original Hang On as well. It's crazy how long Pole Position 2 didn't have like a really good competitor in the arcade, in my opinion. I just don't like most of the racing stuff that came out right in its wake until this. This is really good. This doesn't really give you an indication of how powerful this type of hardware setup is. And you'll see how much more developed the sprite scaling stuff gets, especially when we get to the System Y board games. Excuse me. Yeah, here we go. We've got time for another run or two on Hang On, and Hang On might get a little more time than the other games, but it's probably I don't know. This one and Space Harrier are the ones that I had the most fun with, and Space Harrier is up next. I will say that Power Drift though is surprisingly fun now that I've got the controls dialed in. It's frustrating, but it's such a cool game. Um, so anyway, a full half of these are racing games, and let me get back to it on Hang On. And I really need to change the font on the screen. I'm too old and blind. But thanks for stopping by, Teddy. And you're not really part of the Belcher family and never will be. No, just kidding. Uh, I am. I love Bob's Burgers, by the way. Big fan. Yeah, this game is a little tricky, but it's got good controls, so you can definitely get used to it. What you can't control really is the random traffic being thrown your way, and if you get a bad pattern, it's just like, whew. That's I think why I like Super Hang On a little better because having the turbo, you have a little bit more control of your overall speed, and you get used to playing the game faster. So dropping out of turbo makes it feel like you can maneuver through things. Psychologically, I think it works better for me. But this is such a simple game. Like this is something I would play to to get ready to fall asleep at night or something because it's just like it's just the one thing, driving and dodging. But here we go anyway with some more Hang On. I do love it for its simplicity also. This is about as straightforward as you get on a racing game. You really can't even wreck once, and I wrecked twice, so that's how that goes. I don't know why I'm trying to enter my name again. It's such a pain. This game doesn't allow continues, does it? I am going to use continues on this stuff because I'm not really doing like high score attacks here. I'm just kind of showcasing these games and giving some thoughts about them and mostly showing off this cool book. So anyway, here we go again. See what happens if I put in a bunch of credits. Much better. I think that's about as far as I've ever gotten. And no, it doesn't appear that there's any sort of continues. It just sort of works how it works. Probably give this about one more go. Thanks for checking this out today, Teddy Belcher, and anybody else who stopped by. Please tell me what you think about Sega games, anything I'm playing, and we'll look at the pop-up for the next cabinet before we start our next game, which will be Space Harrier. But before we do that, let's play Hang On at least one more time here. And I'm gonna let this roll for a second. Hang on, let me punch in my score because it's super important. let this roll for just a minute, and then when I get back, I'll switch it out, and we'll play some Space Harrier after we check out the Space Harrier pop-up book as well. So thanks for watching. I'll be back in just a minute. So next up is going to be Space Harrier. Hang on just a second. Let me get some stuff swapped around here. I'll show you this pop-up cabinet for Space Harrier. I've only ever seen this once in real life. I was like almost confused at what I was looking at, but I thought it looked awesome. I didn't get a chance to play it. I was a child. I think it was in the like the rec room area of like a hotel or something. I got much more into Space Harrier when it came out on the Space Harrier 2 came out on the Genesis, and I rented that a few times. And you're probably thinking, why? It's kind of terrible, right? The early I was an early adopter on the Genesis, and the early Genesis library was kind of terrible, and you just kind of played what you could. And Space Harrier 2 was better than Super Thunderblade. We'll talk about that in a minute when I play Thunderblade. Anyway, here's the deluxe cabinet for Space Harrier. It's it's like a sit down, like as if you were flying a ship or something, but you're not. You're flying a dude, as you'll see. So that's very unusual, but it has like a big analog flight stick is the way it controls. So when you play this at home, you're going to want to carefully calibrate the controls. Excuse me. If you want to play it with digital input, the 32X option is not a bad way to go on playing this game. Or the Saturn is even better because the Saturn runs at a full 60 FPS like the arcade game. Let's take a look at it so you'll know, have some context here. The 32X one's chopped down to 30 hertz, but otherwise is a very good port that looks exactly like this. Old home ports of this are, of course, terrible. I mean, even the people who are like, "Oh no, it was actually really fun on Master System." Was it? Really? Was it? I've played it. Was it? It's a complex 3D. It's a game that entirely relies on its flashy, scaling 3D graphics, and that's what you're shooting at. And any interpretation of that fails to do it smoothly It's just not all that much worth playing, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And there's a lot of people who like Space Harrier in all of its forms. Um, but I did have a lot of fun with this when I was checking it out last night to see all the games that go with this stream, and so it's a good time. Yeah, it's got these voices. That was impressive too. This came out in like 85, 86. This is mind blowing back then. Like nothing looked like this. So let's play some Space Harrier. I'm gonna crank in the credits. I think this one does let me continue, so we'll play a little ways into it and see what it's like. I don't know if it goes higher than 99, but I don't think we need to go higher than 99.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
I'm sorry, I did just realize something. There's one thing I want to change here. I am not going to be able to stand playing this without a turbo button. Just like everything else. My old man hands can't handle it. Again, I'm not playing for score or anything here today. I'm just showing off each game for a half hour, along with its a pop-up cardboard representation of its arcade cabinet. Anyway, here we go with Space Harrier.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. You're doing great. Get ready. Get ready. You're doing great. You're doing great. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. Get ready.
Sorry about the pause. Just needed to take a break for just 1 second. Man, cool. A little bit rough to pick up the swing, but we'll get it. Sorry. Mostly I needed to have my phone on hand because at some point I'm gonna have to check the time here and switch games. And this game does not have breaks in it. Not really, except when I die.
Get ready. Get ready. Get ready. You're doing great. Get ready. Get ready. You're doing great. Get ready. 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 You're doing great. Get ready. 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 Get ready.
Is this the first game to feature a boss rush? It feels kind of like maybe it is. That was pretty interesting. That's the first time I've ever played all the way through Space Harrier. I kind of assumed it would be longer because, I mean, the way it's designed, they can recycle assets and repalette shape them like forever. Just like I kind of always have assumed that Afterburner is like infinitely long, but it's probably not. It probably ends pretty quick. It just eats a lot of money up very fast, so it's hard to tell. We'll get to Afterburner here in a minute, though. We can talk about that. Give me just a second here, and I'm going to take a quick break, and then we will fire up Outrun. I don't know if Outrun gives an option to continue or not because I never play Outrun that way, but I'm going to go ahead and throw in a bunch of credits anyway and see what it does. And if so, we might just play through it. Otherwise, I'll just play Outrun the way I normally do. I've played the Switch version of this on a stream before, which is better in a lot of ways because it's widescreen and 60 hertz. The original arcade game is 30 hertz interlaced, where it updates the rastering of the road on one pass in 30 frames per second, and then every other frame it updates the sprite scaling. Excuse me. So if you test the frame rate on it, it'll show it as a 60 hertz game, it kind of technically is, but it's not really. Nothing is animated that smoothly in it, and you can feel it a little bit, but the good control when playing through an emulator almost makes up for it. The Saturn version of Outrun is also excellent, but the advantage to using an emulator that the Saturn and Switch versions both lack is that you get analog gas and brake, so you can have analog pedals, and you have much finer control over the analog stick, and you can really dial it in. So it really feels good to play through Final Burn. And there's a dedicated emulator for Outrun that I think goes even further than that, and also offers some of the enhancements that you can get from the M2 Switch port. Anyway, I'll get back to that in just a second. We'll check out the pop-up book cabinet for Outrun, and then we'll play some Outrun. Thanks for watching. All right, let's check out the cabinet for Outrun. Let's see what's interesting about that. Because even though Outrun wasn't that rare of a game, I played it, in more than a few places back in the day. Every single Outrun cabinet I ever encountered, that I remember, was an upright, including the one I first played on. It was an upright. So it was a stand-up cabinet, not a deluxe model like this. So check this out. This is the Outrun cabinet. Rotated around in 3D. Using my camera, I actually fixed the color and stuff on it. It still looks terrible, I know, but give me money, I guess. It's I should set something up for that. But yeah. Anyway, Outrun. You know Outrun. Everybody knows Outrun. But I just realized today, I don't know if it's one word or two. This book spells it like it's two. Like 2 words. But it spells everything like that too. Thunderblade, Afterburner. I thought those were all one word. Are they not? Are they not one word? I'm going to look that up. And I'll edit my description if I'm wrong. Anyway. Oh yeah, good stereo sound in this game too, which is amazing. One part here that's not the original graphics but necessary for playing on an emulator is the on-screen low-high gear indicator, marked by an L in the bottom right-hand corner. It can be disabled, but then you're really just winging it. Gosh, I sure have played some Outrun in my day. So it does limit you to 9 credits. Everybody knows Magical Sound Shower is the best song, so let's go.
Get ready.
Yeah, there's no continuing an Outrun. Maybe you can set something up in the dip switches or something, but that would be weird. Which, by the way, this is on totally default settings. That was a pretty good run for me. Let's try going right this time.
Get ready. Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
Yeah, I should really comment on the Genesis and Mega Drive ports of these games as well, because that's how I experienced them a lot. Beyond the fact that, like I said earlier, I don't think it was a good idea for Sega to have focused on bringing super scalar games home on hardware that was just so completely incapable of doing it. That being said, the port of Super Hang On was pretty good because it's a simple thing anyway. But at the same time, it doesn't really do a lot that the Master System and Nintendo games like Rad Racer and stuff were already doing. So, and then Space Harrier, we got in the form of Space Harrier 2, which is a pretty crappy game, like I'd say. And it's just really mediocre.
Get ready.
And then Outrun, this one was actually the first one that came across halfway decent. It's not great, but it's like, it's not that bad of a game on the Genesis. It's alright.
Checkpoint. Checkpoint.
Haha, I just saw some news on my phone. My copyright claim was successful. Or copyright dispute. Uh, I think I'm gonna reset this anyway. I hate being aggressively shoved back into starting a new game just because I have a bunch of credits in it. It's weird that that's how it handles it, by the way. That's strange, isn't it? Let's let it have a demo mode for a second. Anyway, my Neo Geo stream got a copyright strike from somebody who had sampled a Neo Geo game. And it's a song from like, I don't know, like 2018 or something. Nothing in the stream was newer than 2003, I want to say. These are old video games, right? And this happens all the time, and I don't think that maybe it's just a flaw in a bunch of systems, and these people legitimately wanted to sample games and whatever. But mostly it feels like they're probably doing IP theft. I doubt that they paid SNK for the rights to the sample, and then now they're trying to strike me for it and get Google, Alphabet, YouTube's advertising royalty money sent to them for something that they stole from someone else. I'm not going to let that happen anymore. And anybody else who streams or shows video games on YouTube, if you see those pop up, yeah, let's fight back against this. This has happened to me a few times in the past, and I let it go, like with the old Tetris Game Boy music. I'm not going to do that anymore. If I want to stream Tetris with its original music, I'm going to stream it. And if it gets a copyright strike from anyone other than Nintendo, who have the right to make that claim, or Bulletproof Software, or the Tetris Holdings Company, or whoever legitimately owns that music now, I'll take it down. But if you just stole their music to use in your song, or your Bandcamp garbage, honestly, is what it usually is. No, you're not going to get any limitations on my video that give you ad money. That's just not going to happen. So. Anyway, let's continue on with Outrun instead of complaining about Google's automated systems. At least I was able to get it fixed, and at least the system does work when you dispute it, so that's cool.
Get ready.
Checkpoint.
Outrun's really hard with its default settings. I am thinking about doing a longer Outrun, multi-Outrun stream. And if I do, I'll probably put the time settings for this game easier and do Outrunners also, and of course Coast to Coast. I have the Emus mods for that installed now, so everything is corrected and has its aspect ratio correct, which looks good.
Get ready.
Checkpoint. point. Checkpoint.
So this is one of the few games here that Sega hasn't completely forgotten about. It's got a good port on Switch 1, like I'd mentioned. Check that out. And for the generation before that, it had a port to the 3DS, which supports stereoscopic 3D, I believe. I'm pretty sure that happened, at least. A lot of these were ported to the 3DS, actually. And for a lot of these games, that's the last time I've seen any action at all. The last game we're going to cover, Power Drift, which will be our last racing game here. Actually, let me make sure I'm saying that correctly. Is it the last racing game? Yeah. We got 2 shooters and another racing game. Power Drift was never ported to anything in any good form that's worth playing. And the Commodore game might be okay, but it's barely a representation of the game. And the PC Engine one is really rough as well. I don't think it got a Saturn version that I'm aware of, but it did get a. We'll get to that when we get to it. But before that, we're going to play Afterburner, a game that wasn't released in the USA, to my knowledge. You're probably thinking, that's crazy. Of course Afterburner was released in the USA. Are you nuts? I'm pretty sure it was Afterburner 2, which is also not even a sequel. It's like a revised version. And honestly, like Afterburner without playing Afterburner 2 is like playing a beta version of the game. Like it just feels like a bunch of stuff's missing. So we'll cover that when I fire up Afterburner here in just a minute. Thanks for watching. Alright, so when we play Afterburner here, you're going to notice how different it is from Afterburner 2. There's just some stuff right off, some major things that are different, even though it's basically the exact same game in terms of what you're doing and what the levels are and what the graphics are and everything else. And I'll explain it as we start, but get that set up here. And I'm going to show off the cabinet for Afterburner. Now, this I have seen the deluxe cabinet of many times. Afterburner 2's deluxe cabinet is the same as far as I know. Even if you didn't have arcades around you and stuff and didn't get a chance to check this one out back in the day, I believe you can see it in a famous scene in Terminator 2 where the T-800 is approaching John Connor's friend looking for him. So, yeah, but I saw this game much more in uprights, but eventually I did start seeing not cocktail, but deluxe cabinets of it like this. And here it is. The deluxe cabinet for it just Afterburner was a fairly common game where I was anyway. It seemed like a lot of places had it, despite it being this really intensely cool, way over the top, way better graphics than everything else I ever saw. It was what I considered to be like, awesome arcade graphics back in the day. And because I played this game before I played Outrun also. I actually was more impressed with Outrun somehow. This has a lot of stuff going on the screen. This is where they actually, all the stuff before is bespoke hardware. It was designed for each game. It's just very similar. This is where they standardized that similar hardware into the System X board. So this game is System X. I believe Thunderblade is System X. It says in this book, so let me check here. Yeah, and then Power Drift will be the only System Y that we show. The only other ones I know of are for System Y is Galaxy Force and Galaxy Force 2, which is incredible. Similar situation on Galaxy Force 2. I think that the first one did not come out in the US at all. They revised the game in certain ways, which I think the main thing on Galaxy Force 2 is adding in selectable stages or something instead of having you go through it in order, a fixed order. There's other small, I think, gameplay changes and stuff. So these are more like revisions, not sequels. But what you'll notice in the original Afterburner, which again I never saw and don't think came out in the US, and everything was Afterburner 2, but the original Afterburner does not have a throttle control. It does not have any speeding up and slowing down. And it does not have the bonus stages where you shoot the towers, I think. And the most obnoxious thing about it to me is when you fire missiles in this version of Afterburner, they don't leave the smoke trail from the missile, so it's really unsatisfying and doesn't feel like you're shooting the missiles at the enemies somehow. It's weird. But anyway, this is Afterburner, the original Afterburner. If you've ever wondered why Afterburner 2 is Afterburner 2 and you've never seen Afterburner, especially, this might be interesting because it's a little different. It's missing stuff. I don't think you ever get pursued by other jets, which makes sense because there's no throttle control. So, I don't know. Anyway, here we go.
Get ready.
I was wrong, it does have this stage. Also, the music seems out of tune, but I don't know if that's like the emulator or if that's just how it was in Afterburner 1. Yeah, that felt unplayable without a throttle control, which again, Afterburner 1 does not have. Yeah, that's about enough Afterburner. I was wrong about a couple things. One thing, they do have parts where you have to evade missiles and chasing enemy fighters, and you just do it without using a throttle, but it's kind of annoying. Um, Without having a throttle, though, going through the uh, the cavern sequence is absolutely awful. I think it's the landing sequence that's missing in this version, and there's also some differences in the ground sprite tiles. I was wrong about there being no smoke trail from missiles, but there's this weird thing where the missiles like hover out for a second, and then they have less smoke trail, and I think that whole animation is different than firing them in Afterburner 2. And also, it seems maybe harder to target stuff, and like I'm not getting as many targets. I don't know. But that could all just be a poor memory of the game as well. I don't remember. Even playing the revision that we got, that is better for sure. This is still not my favorite Sega game. I mean, it's fun for a little bit, but it's mostly spinning around in a circle to evade stuff, which is way easier to do on a thumbstick than on the flight stick, which is why you see me doing it so much. It's almost hard not to do on accident, and you kind of always want to do it anyway because it's what evades missiles. And then, yeah, you just spin around, and then when you get prompts to fire missiles at things, you do, and you hold down on the machine gun the whole time, and that's the game. It's kind of whatever. And again, it was more the experience of playing it, and a deluxe cabinet, I guess, would add to that too. That could have been $8 in a deluxe cabinet, 4 on a stand-up, and that still didn't get me through whatever this nightmare of a game is. All right, hang on just a second. I'll be right back. All right, so next up we have Thunderblade, which I saw a sit-down cabinet of Thunderblade, and that just completely blew my mind. I don't know that I ever saw it in anything but the deluxe format, and it had the most incredible graphics I'd ever seen. It definitely pushes the System X board as far as it'll go, probably. It is not a great game, and it's really short, but it is so great looking, such an insanely intense visual experience for sprite scaling combat at the time that it's a little bit easy to look past the jank on it. Speaking of jank, there is some flicker and stuff in the overhead sequences that I didn't remember. I don't know if that's an emulation issue or if that's something that the real hardware did that I just don't remember. But I guess it's probably is accurate. Really, Final Burn started off as an Afterburner emulator and supported these types of games first. That's where the burn in its name comes from. So if you're using FB Neo like I am, it's really native to this type of stuff. All right, so Thunderblade. Yeah, you get a full sit down cabinet with, right? Yeah, check it out. Making you feel like you're piloting a helicopter with this badass analog flight stick. I think that the game already has credits in it here. Hang on just a second. Let's switch over. Alright, we're just going to play all the way through this one. Let's see. I don't know how many credits are in here, but... Oh yeah, there we go. Here we go. Let's play some Thunderblade. And that's Thunderblade. Can you believe that's all of Thunderblade? Also, I am inclined to think that Afterburner 1 just had very bad sounding music compared to how they reworked it in Afterburner 2. I'll have to go and double check it. I don't think it's the emulation because Outrun sounded fine. And that would be, if it was off, I would have been like, what is this crap? And this sounds fine to me as well. Although the stereo balance is really odd and probably something built around that deluxe hardware that I showed. It's probably because they made all of the explosions come out of the in emulation comes out of the left speaker. That might be like a separate like overhead or back speaker or something. They may have done it in some strange way. Because yeah, I noticed that everything that I was shooting was coming out. The shooting sounds were coming out of the right, and the explosions sounds are coming out of the left in a very fixed way that didn't make sense. It's probably designed to be a front to back type sound. Anyway, let's take a look at our last game because I think it's really an interesting one. And we'll look at the pop-up here for the pop-up book here in just a second one last time. It's our last pop-up to look at. Switch the camera here. Let me switch the game here. So, yeah, let's look at the pop-up cabinet because I actually never saw the pop-up of this machine. The first time I ever saw this was at an indoor fun fair arcade, and it was an upright. And then I saw it at a movie theater later, and it was an upright. And both times it blew my mind. Like it was still, and it was probably even a couple of years after this came out. But even by 1990, consider I hadn't seen anything else in really impressive with 3D graphics. Maybe Wolfenstein wasn't even out yet. I mean, so I hadn't seen like ray casting stuff really. I'd only seen sprite scalers, and they just never got as crazy as this. But this is the Power Drift cabinet, deluxe cabinet that I never got to enjoy. But this game runs on System Y, and like Galaxy Force, it basically creates a full 3D space using so many sprites at scaling. It's really cool. It controls a little odd, and it has a little bit of an auto pull to it. And if you fight against the controls too much, you start ping-ponging off the walls, or you can drop off the edge of the track, which is really annoying. But it's like a kart racing game. Well, here, let me show you. And yeah, I mean, it just has so much moving and scaling on the screen at once that it's crazy. It will take me a second to get into the swing of the controls. It's not an easy game, just like super easy to pick up and play. And again, we do get a gear shift indicator added to the screen. This time it's in the bottom left. I don't know why it's in different places, but whatever. Yeah. Oh, and your character select is almost random. You select the stage, and then and it cycles the character, and then whenever you hit select to start it, you're whoever, because it doesn't matter. It's nonsense. Here we go. Power Drift.
Do your best and good luck. Go for number 1. 3, 2, 1, go! Second lap.
And that was a bit worse than I normally do. I got knocked off the track a lot, so not so much point in continuing. The tracks get very, very hard from the third point on, especially if you start more on the right side, which I believe is harder tracks anyway. I believe it goes easy to hard on the 5 different, and it's 5 different sets of tracks. It's really interesting. I don't know how many tracks are in each one. I think maybe 5. So that might be 25 courses to race or something. Very cool. It's like a lot of game for an arcade game.
Welcome to our exciting circuit. Do your best and good luck. Go for number 1. 3, 2, 1, go! Second lap. Third lap. Final lap. Hurry up. You're great. Go for number 1. 3, 2, 1, go! Hurry up! Second lap. Hurry up, hurry up! Final lap. Get back in there! Hurry up!
So yeah, I'm getting absolutely destroyed on the second track of all of these.
Welcome to our exciting circuit. Do your best and good luck. Go for number 1. 3, 2, 1, go! Second lap. Third lap.
Yeah, this is pretty fun. I'll have to probably do a separate stream of this sometime. Knock the difficulty down a little bit so I can play a little further into it. Because it actually is really cool. These were all played with their default dip switch settings, except for Thunderblade, which I believe I had knocked down to easy at some point. But yeah, let's give this another go and try out the other two courses.
Welcome to our exciting circuit. Do your best and good luck. Go for number 1. 3, 2, 1, go!
Now that's got to be the worst input of all of these. I'm trying to get that. This probably would be better if I turned down the analog sensitivity a lot. I'm actually currently playing it the way I play the Dreamcast version of Daytona USA, where I kind of like ride the top of the gate of the analog stick and just try to barely move it along. This is just set at 100%, but it seems a little too much.
Welcome to our exciting circuit. Do your best and good luck. Go for number 1. 3, 2, 1, go! Second lap.
Did a lot of driving through trees there, but that wasn't the problem. uh, anyway, Sega's old games were insane. One last look at the pop-up book before we go here, because it's pretty neat. Sega arcade pop-up history. Flipping, there's some historical info at the front, and then you flip to the back, and that's where you got your pop-up gallery. Hang on. Space Harrier. Outrun. Thunderblade. And last. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was Thunderblade. This was, I skipped Afterburner. Sorry, my apologies. This is actually the, of course, highly recognizable Afterburner cabinet. Then Thunderblade. And then Power Drift. Anyway, let's some 3D Sega games from back in the day before polygon games became popular, which Sega also pioneered. Had all these sprite scaling classics. Thanks for watching and have a good one. I'll probably be back later this afternoon with something else.